Hello and welcome. In this video segment we will work through step 1 through 4 of tutorial 1. These steps will demonstrate how the geometry of this part is constructed. On the screen is the completed geometry. Shortly I will create a new file and start at step 1. But before we do that, let's review the finished geometry on the screen. The part is symmetrical about the x-axis. So initially we will create the lower half of the geometry. That's the lines, arcs below this center line, and then use the mirror function to complete the part. Let's get going and start a new part and start at step 1. I've moved up to the top left hand corner of the screen and I'm going to select the new part icon. Next I'm going to hit Alt-O on my keyboard to turn off the Operations Manager. It works just like a toggle switch. If I hit Alt-O again, it will reappear. The center of this grid is X0, Y0. In step 1 we're going to create half the outside boundary. What I'm going to do is move to the top of the screen and select Create, and then move on down and select Create Rectangular Shapes. The first thing I'm going to ensure is the radio button besides base point is turned on. Next I'll input the width and height of this rectangle. I'm going to move on down and click in the white space for width and type in 6.3, enter. Next I'll move on down and input the height, 2.06, enter. Next I'm going to select the double arrow to expand the rectangular shape options. Moving down to the bottom of this dialog box in the anchor section, I'm going to select the upper left corner radio button as the anchor for this rectangle. As you can see on the graphic screen now, the anchor point is the top left hand corner of this rectangle. Now I have a prompt on the screen. Select position of base point. What I'm going to do is pick the center location of the grid, the origin. Moving back to the rectangular shapes options dialog box, at the very bottom I'm going to select the OK button. Next I'm going to move up to the toolbar and select the Fit icon. Let's move on now to step 2. We're going to create the inside geometry. We're going to create parallel lines. I'm going to select Create, Line, and then right at the very bottom here, Create Line Parallel. The prompt on the screen, select a line. The first line I'm going to pick is this top horizontal line, so I'll select it. And then the next prompt, select the point to place a parallel line through. I'm going to pick a point below this line. Moving on up, I have to input the distance. Its distance is already highlighted. I'm going to type in 0.8, enter. Everything's looking good. So to continue using the same command, I can select the Apply button. To exit the command, you can either start a new command or select the OK button. What I'm going to do is select the Apply button. Now for the next parallel line, when prompted, select a line. I'm going to select this right vertical line, and for the next prompt I'm going to pick a point somewhere to the left. Next I need to input the distance. The distance is highlighted. I'm just going to type in 0.94 and then hit enter. Everything looks good. I'm going to move up and select the OK button. Next, we're going to do some trimming. I'm going to move up and select Edit, Trim Break again. I'm going to move down to the graphics screen, and when prompted, select the entity to trim extend. I'm going to select the vertical line on the left. For the next prompt, I'm going to select this horizontal line. As you can see, part of this vertical line has been trimmed to this horizontal line. Let's continue with our trim operations. I'm going to select this top horizontal line, followed by this vertical line. And as you can see, this horizontal line has been trimmed to the vertical line. That completes my trim operation. I'm going to select the OK button. Next, we're going to create a fillet between this vertical line and horizontal line. I'm going to select Create, Fillet, Fillet Entities. The radius for the fillet I'm about to create is 0.25, and 0.25 is what we have set for our radius. The prompt, select an entity. I'm going to move on down and select this vertical line, followed by this horizontal line. Everything looks good. The reason the lines have been trimmed is because we have the trim button set to on. So everything looks great here. I'm going to pick the OK button. Next, I'd like to delete this horizontal line. I'm going to move up to the toolbar and select the Delete Entities button. When prompted, select Entities. I'm going to pick the line and then move on up and select the End Selection icon. Step 3, we're going to complete the outside profile. We're going to create a 45-degree chamfer in here. Let's move up, select Create, and then move on down, Chamfer, Chamfer Entities. Now the first thing we're going to do is input the distance. Now this chamfer distance is 0.75, and then moving along I have my distance set to 1, and also note my trim is set. Moving on down to the graphics screen, I'm going to pick the right vertical line and then this horizontal line down the bottom, and the chamfer looks great. Going to move up and now press the OK button. Next, we're going to put a fillet in this bottom left corner. Create, Fillet, Fillet Entities. Now our radius this time is 0.56. I'm going to click in the input area and type in 0.56, then enter. I'm going to move the cursor down to the bottom left hand corner, and you'll notice that it's previewed my fillet. My fillet is exactly where I want it, so instead of picking any entities, I'm just going to pick here, and it looks great. I'm going to move on over and hit the OK button. Next, we're going to create two circles. Create, Arc, and we're going to use the Create Circle Center Point. Now, the diameter value for these circles is 0.5. So I'm going to move up to the diameter selection and input 0.5, enter. Also, what I'm going to do is click on and lock these values in. Now, enter the center point. I'm going to move down in the lower left corner, and this circle, this first circle, shares the same center point as the fillet that we just input. So I'm going to click. There it is. Now, for the next circle, what we're going to do is input the X and Y center values. So I'm going to move on up and select the fast point icon. In this window that opens, I'm going to input the X and Y values. For the X, 0.56 plus 3.5. So that's the X value, comma, and for the Y, minus 1.5, enter. And there's our circle. Both circles are complete now. I'm going to go up and hit the OK button. Next, we need to mirror these entities. I'm going to select Xform at the top and then move on down and select Xform Mirror. Now I'm prompted to select entities to mirror. I'm going to move up and select the All button. Over in here, right down the very bottom of this dialog box, I'm going to select the check mark for OK, and as you can see on the screen, everything has been selected. I'm going to move on up now and select the End Selection icon. Now, in the Mirror dialog box, I have the radio button against copy selected. I'm going to move on down and select the radio button to mirror about the X-axis. Right at the very bottom in the preview section, I'm going to select Fit, and as you can see on the screen, everything looks pretty good. So I'm going down to the bottom of this dialog box and select OK. Next, I'm going to clear the colors. I'm going to move up and on my toolbar button select Clear Colors, and everything looks great. The last step, save the file. File, Save As, and what you can do now in the file name area is type the name of your file. Once you've done that, you can select the Save icon. This concludes this video segment. Thanks very much for watching.